Hello everyone, it's Dr. Ryder, and I bring you greetings from Maynooth University here in Ireland. In this video, I would like to explain to you a bit about how the online policy caucus process will work for us in our course. And so I prepared a short video in order to do so. In case you're wondering, this is our accommodation that's in the photograph or in the image here at Maynooth. It's St. Patrick's College, which at one point was the largest Catholic seminary in Europe. Though this year they have enrolled by far their fewest students at any time in its history. But this was, kind of what yesterday morning on Thursday looked like when it was 33 degrees outside. And some folks were a little bit chillier than perhaps they had anticipated. But we're having a lovely time and look forward to, of course, being back with you all, and some of us to being warmer in the next week or so. So what I'd like to do is to review kind of the instructions for the process for the online policy caucus that you'll be completing here starting on kind of late Monday or early Tuesday, 22nd, 23rd. So, and we'll talk about the evaluation of advocates' initial positions. So Erica and Sarah are preparing their initial position statements on the gainful employment rule, and I believe that's actually already been posted in the area on Canvas. So Hale will be preparing a position that he's staked out with respect to the gainful employment rule. We'll talk about how to evaluate both of those. There will be, or we'll talk through kind of like the caucusing through continued discussion after you've done your initial evaluations of the advocates' positions. Advocates posting of their rebuttals and response, and then finally casting your final votes and adding your rationales. So we've got things open here in Canvas. We're going to open Law and Policy in Higher Education over here. Open this in the student view so it will look a little bit more authentic for you. And I'm going to, I went over there, which is kind of instinctive, but I'll use my little button over here. And for whatever reason, I guess this is how I had this set up with the previous. I hope that that's not how yours shows with everything open all at once, because I would find that to be a little irritating. So I've created my own little online policy caucus area, and you may have seen this at some point last evening if you have Canvas notifications set a particular way. But I created Online Policy Caucus 0 requiring a national high school exit exam for college placement, which is essentially what is done here in Ireland with what's known as a leaving certification, or the leaving cert, as folks will call it. So you will see, and each module has an overview of the caucus process that you can read. You can read about the brief background on the issues that are presented. So I've kind of created a space here for the overview of the process, some brief background on the National High School Exit Exam for college placement. And then we have the caucuses down here. And so for this particular kind of video, I've created two separate groups, and so two separate positions where Ashley and Fergal argue a position on the high school exit exams and college placement, and Claire and Saoirse argue a position that's a bit different on the high school exit exams for college placement. And the purpose of the entire activity is not to be such that it is, one person says yes, this is correct, and one group says no, this isn't. But it might be to find nuance. So perhaps it's keep the exam and but make some changes in certain areas, or it could be certainly get rid of something or do something differently that kind of accounts for these faults in the system. So, and I think that sense of nuance is important because so rarely in the world, whether it's law and policy or getting up in the morning and making decisions on what we're going to have for breakfast. I mean, there just aren't a lot of kind of black and white sort of decisions, although of course, one could say, well, I'm either going to have breakfast or not. But the point of this is to not really just default to, point, counterpoint, or pro-con, but to look at areas of nuance within particular policy decisions or policy areas. So please keep that in mind moving forward. So our friends Ashley and Fergal and Claire and Saoirse have posted their positions, and so I can click here as a student in the course, and I can, this is a little bit of the overview, tells me about, the first post and the discussion forum will be Ashley and Fergal's position. I can go down here and we can pretend that says Ashley or Fergal. After viewing our argument to end the use of the National High School Exit Exam for college placement, we know you'll back our sound, well-reasoned argument. This is a video that doesn't really argue any specific position except to help students prepare, but kind of gives you the idea. And then, I have posted my response to their video about their policy. You guys did this bang up job on your video. And you'll notice that I provide or kind of left the sort of template down here below. I found this to be your best point, and here's why. I found this point to be least clear, accurate, appealing, and here's why. Because I want you to kind of see and to know that that's what you need to do in this initial posting. So that's all that you need to do here at the beginning as one of the voters. So you might, a sentence that says, hey, you did a great job. I found your best point to be the great advantage wealthier students enjoying preparing for the exam given their ability to afford intensive summer exam camps and tutors that are financially off limits for less affluent students. Your point about scorers secretly raising the point totals for students whose parents have bribed them, however, was shown to be untrue by a recent investigative report and the Irish Independent. So, you might kind of point out a factual error or kind of a flaw in reasoning or argument, or simply say, this just really was kind of a turnoff for me, or just didn't seem to be terribly effective. And then another student might respond and say, I agree with you about this, financial advantage, yada, yada. So by the way, I should back up. This is, we'll say, as I noted in the slides, bad Andy, go back. So your initial evaluation occurs over here, and with this sort of filling out this and providing your rationale. Then what will happen kind of after you've posted your initial evaluations by, gosh, I believe, if I jump over here and look at this, like my syllabus, I will see that should be, and this is not the correct syllabus, but it would be looking here by noon on Thursday. So it launches at 11:59 on Monday. By noon on Thursday, you should have provided your evaluations. Once you've provided your evaluation, jump back over here. There's then the expectation that you will continue caucusing through continued discussion, so that you might jump back in and engage your peers in conversation, which is what this represents here. I agree with you and Ashley and Fergal, about this unfairness. And then, you could even kind of share your personal anecdote. I remember how hard I studied on my own to do well, but the students at my school who went each summer to exam camp in Limerick all did better than me with what seemed like an unfair lack of effort. Thanks for mentioning that, not Andy. So, and then you can see, of course, over here, we have the different position that's shared by Claire and Saoirse about the exams, and they've provided, they've kind of shown their video here, and they kind of give you the reason why. It's the surest way to guarantee all graduates who wish to do so are college ready by providing a consistent, fair comparison of knowledge and skills for everyone. And then I provided my evaluation again using the same sort of format. So let's say that now, kind of going back over to PowerPoint, we've continued caucusing through continued discussion. Our advocates post their rebuttal or their response to the evaluations of their positions that you've left. And by the way, remember, you should not only evaluate, one position, you're supposed to evaluate both. So in our module coming up, you will evaluate the positions of Erica and Sarah and the positions shared by Sohail. So our advocates will then post their rebuttal and response, which you can kind of look at, review, See if anything that may have been kind of pointed out as not being terribly effective has been addressed, or anything that was unclear or inaccurate has been corrected. But this is essentially a response to those issues, a chance for them to kind of get their argument correct, and even perhaps to make a final pitch or a final appeal in order to win votes. And part of what is supposed to occur during the caucusing through continued discussion might be if you feel particularly passionately about a position that is shared by either one of the issue advocates, that you might try to then persuade others to do so, which, by the way, is exactly how the participatory democracy within a caucus setting, such as the Iowa caucuses, occurs. Not only are there people who advocate for candidates or for party platforms, but there are people who try to then persuade others through this process of discussion and coalition building. So keep that in mind. So that will continue. You'll see the advocate's rebuttal or response that they post. And then, and you can continue, by the way, the discussion over the course of the weekend. The expectation would be that you chime in once or twice, in addition perhaps to your initial posting, just to kind of stay engaged. And then by the time we arrive at class on Monday, we will have cast our final votes. So I'm going to come over here. We can kind of, say that there's more underneath that in terms of positions that have been cast. And so you'll notice that this site needs to be opened in a new window browser. So sometime Sunday the 28th or Monday the 29th, or even Saturday, I guess, if you've already really kind of made up your mind, you can come in and you can click on this, and a survey will open for you in Qualtrics. And it simply tells you, that, this is the survey for the gainful employment rule. Respond to the questions below, taking time to include your rationales as specified. These brief paragraphs do not need citations or perfectly written sentences, just right. Your voting will close at 4:59 p.m. on October 29th, so that's right before class, and we will all view and tally the rationales. We'll view and tally the results and the rationales together for the first time in class. So it'll be kind of exciting. And as you scroll down, you will see select the position that appeals to you. Explain your choice in a 50 to 100 word paragraph. So what did you find to be persuasive, appealing, or effective for your choice in the previous question? Move over which position earned your vote when evaluated based on the evidence presented. In other words, which position had the best evidence. Explain your choice in a 50 to 100 word paragraph. So why did you find the evidence to be the best? And then I'm asking, because I'm not collecting your names, but in order to kind of validate the participation of everyone in the course, enter the last 5 digits of your UNC 850 number. And I won't show those in class, and that gets separated out and kind of tossed away, and because I try to be very, very careful when I use that information. But that just kind of gives me a way to make sure that everyone has participated when we have 14 folks in the class and maybe 12 people vote. So this, unfortunately, is a choice, or is an activity where voting is mandatory. So it's a democratic process within an authoritarian regime. Where have we seen that before? So this was a bit longer than I anticipated, but I hope that it's clear how the process should work. View the videos, post your initial evaluation using kind of like the template that's provided, or kind of see this example that's in the video. I will leave module 0 published so you can kind of see that as an example. And then, you can then see what like a further participation might look like in terms of the continued caucusing and persuasion through discussion. And then you'll see that you'll have the rebuttals or the kind of additional information from the advocates to chew on, maybe a little bit more discussion, and then cast your final vote prior to class on Monday. And we'll see how this goes, and we'll chat about it in class on the 29th to see if we can't kind of address any of the kinks that might exist in the process. But I appreciate your willingness to try something new. So thank you very much. Have a great weekend, and I will chat with you later.